Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's Nexus seminar. My name is Samantha Dijkstra-Silva. I'm with the Technical University of Dresden, and I'm a junior professor for sustainability assessment and policy. We organized the seminar together with the United Nations University Flores Institute. So that's together with Serena Cauchi and under the leadership of Ildra Günther. And so this session is part of a longer session. Today is the 63rd seminar session, and I'm really glad to welcome Saroj Chapagain, who is going to talk to us about sanitation, public health, and resource recovery. And Saroj is with the United Nations University Flores Institute, but prior was also with the United Nations University, but with the Institute for Advanced Study of Sustainability. And he pursued his PhD, which he finished in 2009 at the University of Yamanashi in Japan. That is a master's in Belgium and Europe in Ghent, and then before did his bachelor's in Nepal. So quite a international career. And I'm very happy to welcome you today, Saroj. For everyone who's joining today, a few housekeeping details. We have a Q&A session chat. For any topical questions that you have, you can post them there, and we will then have a moderated Q&A session at the end of the presentation. And any technical issues that you might encounter, you can use the chat function. There's two people from UNU supporting the technical part of that. So without any further to-dos, I will hand over to Saroj and welcome you to start your presentation. I'm very excited to hear it. The floor is yours, Saroj.
Yeah, thank you very much, Samantha. Can you hear well? Yes, so thank you very much. So first of all, my thanks goes to all Nexus seminar organizing team for kindly inviting me and giving this opportunity. So today, so my name is Saroj, and today I will be talking on the sanitation. So before starting sanitation, let me give you some insights about my talks today. So actually, 2 days back, so many of you may know, like 2 days back, 19 November, we celebrated World Toilet Day, and the theme of this year, 2022 was sanitation and the groundwater. So you can see the reflection, like how the sanitation is linked to the groundwater, but it is not only the groundwater, but it is also the surface water and behind the water resources. So the sanitation has very crucial role with many aspects of the sustainable development goals, so which we will be discussing in the later part. So today I will take the opportunity. So it is very fortunate that today's talk I'll be talking on the toilets and basically about the sanitations. And as a Nexus seminar, I will try to correlate how this better sanitation can help for the Nexus. The resource nexus, as well as how the nexus thinking will help to improve the sanitation or to achieve the sanitation goals. So we'll be talking on that aspect. So before starting my presentation, as Samantha has kindly introduced, that I have been working at UNU Flores currently, but today's talk, so it would be very important to let you know that I have a direct experience of working on the sanitations in my prior job, which was at ESCAP Institute of Technology, where I basically worked for the decentralized sanitation system. So I think that today's talk and some of my slides are basically from my work and my colleagues' works. Their findings are from the Asian Institute of Technology, so I will be referring, and that is today's my basic background for talking this sanitation for all of you. So so I would like to go with my presentation. So today I will be talking the sanitations aspect from the following titles. So I'll be talking in general what is sanitation and how and why the sanitation has some importance for all of us And we'll be talking about the sustainable sanitations and how the sanitation has been addressed by the UN Development Goals. And if the time allows, we'll be talking about the innovations and some toilet technologies, what has been going on. And then I would like to conclude my presentation. So just starting with the sanitation, like I think after the COVID incident, so we are very much concerned with the sanitation. So it is very much familiar to all of us that sanitation is crucial for all of us, keeping ourselves healthy, keeping away from the dirt, infection. So in general, the sanitation has been defined as a very broad way to keeping ourselves away from all of those infectious or disease-causing agents, dirt. So we'll achieve those things by different activities, which is normally comes under the hygiene, like a hand washing, cleaning the utensils, all other activities, right? So you can see in the picture, so it comprises a range of the activities. But actually, due to the time and maybe due to the today's presentation scope, we are not able to talk about all those sanitation aspects. So I'll be more focusing on the sanitation here is about dealing, like how to handling of the human excreta and the urine, like the safe management or the safe handling or the treatment of the human produce, like the excreta and the urine, like in our daily business. So as WHO has strictly like the very narrow definition of the sanitation, they talk about the provisions of facilities and the services for the safe disposal of human urine and the feces. So today we will be more focusing on the sanitation. However, the sanitation could be understood from the very broad perspective. So please consider today's sanitation from this aspect. So having said that, sanitation's about human produce excreta and the safe disposal of it. So how this sanitation has been given in our UN development goals. So we can see from MDGs, what we call Millennium Development Goal, and currently ongoing Sustainable Development Goals. So both UN development goals have given high priorities. Like MDG, that talks about during that time, they have targeted to half the population who do not have the sanitation by that time, which is almost like more than 2 billion people they targeted to have the sanitations. Again, SDG, we talk about the sanitation as a universal access, like we are making sanitation right for the universally, and it's supposed to be accessible for the everyone, and it should not be like lack from the any person from the improved sanitation. So having said and having given the high priority, still we can see there are still a huge number of the population are depriving from the good sanitation facilities, and even we can see like almost 7 million people, they don't have toilet at all. So they might be practicing with the open defecation. So we will come up with these all the figures and the detail later part, but we can see despite of big efforts, still there is many things to do, and there is a need to do further to achieve the universal access to the sanitation system. So having said that, sanitations has received a high priority, but it still has to be done a lot. And it really comes to us like why sanitation matters. So why the UN agencies and other development banks and agencies have been giving the high focus, have been focusing on this aspect. So the first and foremost is the health, right? So sanitations or the lack of good toilet facilities is considered, has been regarded as one of the largest health and environmental problems. Similarly, it is regarded as like one of the leading cause. Can I see my... Yes, so you can see here, so sanitation has been regarded as one of the non-infectious disease, like one of the leading risk factor for infectious diseases. So you can see here, it is causing like a huge number of the death, almost 0.7 million, almost 0.8 million. If you combine together with the sanitation and the hygiene practices, which is here, the hand washing, it's more than nearly 2 million people are dying every year due to the poor sanitation. So it has a very high risk to the human deaths. So looking at the actual figure in 2019, because that shows the risk factor, but here this figure shows the real picture in 2019. So we can see that a lot of people, like 1.4% of the global death has been occurred due to the poor sanitation. And it is especially the major cause of the death in many developing countries where the sanitation facilities are not good. So it has been said almost 5%, but this map shows one of the countries in the, Africa, like Chad, where almost nearly 11% of the total death has been caused by the poor sanitation. So we can see like out of 10, one people or one death is linked to the poor sanitation. So we can easily see how the sanitation has directly linked to the good health and maybe the people's lives. Likewise, we can see not only the health, but also linked to the economic value. So it is associated with the economic value. It has a high economic burden. So this figure is also give some impression how the different region has been paying the cost of the poor sanitation. As you see here, Asia Pacific region has the highest economic burden related to the poor health, and it is the reason that it is also due to the reason that they have the huge population and the sanitation facility has not been well attained. So it has been recently said, like as I said before, 2 days back we celebrated World Toilet Day, and this is a statement has come from our UN General Secretary that every dollar investment in the sanitation will have the return like 5 times, 5-fold of the economic value can be returned. So it is the field has been realized that we should invest, and there is a need to invest which can yield more return, economic return. So this is directly linked to the economic value with the poor sanitation. So due to this fact, what I talk about the poor health is directly linked to the economic value as well as the public health and issue. So that's also the reason that it has been looked as the central of the all SDGs. So we have been looking at the water and the sanitation. So it is also in the centripetal role of the SDGs. So here maybe it is important for all of us to know that water and sanitation have very complementary relationship, like they are complementary to each other because the good sanitation lead to the or provide the good water environment. Likewise, having to maintain the good sanitary practices or good sanitation, the water is very crucial. So that's why also we talk water and sanitation together in most of our development plans and SDGs. So as you see, SDG 6, it talks about the water and clean water and sanitation, and water and sanitation has been placed in the central of all 17 SDGs. And it is considered that having good, or if you're able to achieve the SDG 6, that is directly creates or it is directly the means for achieving the inner circle where we have another 10 SDGs goal. So it is, if you have good, if you're able to achieve the SDG 6, it can provides as a means to achieve the other interlinked 10 SDGs. Likewise, it also creates the outer circle we can see, and the rest of the 6 SDGs can be achieved because it provides a good enabling environment. So as a Nexus approach, we are concern like all our global transformation that which we have been looking from the SDGs, sustainable development goal are the interconnected, and Nexus approach is very crucial. And among these, the relationships is not the same. So in this perspective, also we could see the SDG 6, which is linked, which is about the sanitations and the clean water, has very much, crucial roles. It has a very high, range of the high level of the interrelationship. So this is also the reason they have been given the high priority in development plans. Right. So when I'm talking about those kind of things, it is also important to see about how the sanitation coverage in global perspective, right? So please consider the figure has been updating with the time progress. So there might be the changes on the number, but it's still the trend and the message is the same. So you can see almost like 50% of the populations they are able to use, or they are having a good access to the sanitation system, or what we call here the safely managed sanitation system. They are utilizing, they are using some safely managed sanitation. But still within the safely managed sanitation system, some are using some sewer system, other still like 1 billion people, they are using good sanitation facility, as well as non-sewer system, means decentralized sanitation system, which we'll be talking later about. So, but the statistics also says like there are another considerable number of the people, they are using the toilet facility, they are having the toilet facilities, but their excreta are not properly treated. So which we call, they have basic sanitations, but not really safely managed sanitation system. And out of these two categories, a huge number of like 2 billion populations, they are either using, they don't have either good sanitation system, they are relying on some sanitation facilities, but some are not like properly handling their waste. And again, a huge number of the population, there is still like 0.7 billion people, they are using the open defecation. So from this slide, so you don't need to really see the figure, but the key message here is still the huge number of the population, they are deprived from the basic human rights, what we call access to the sanitation, because now it is realized it is the basic human rights to have access to the sanitation. So still they are not having, or they are not able to utilize their basic rights, right? So, and another things here, maybe we have to discuss in further slide, that we don't have the sanitation. It means like we don't have the same type of the sanitation facilities, and we have a different level of the facility. As you see here, the terminal like safely managed sanitation system, and also we have the basic sanitation. Some are not like the open defecation, or they don't have the toilet system. So there are different types of sanitation system. So today, I believe we have like our attendees from a different background, and some of you may not aware about this system. So it is good to see how the world are living without this basic sanitation, which many of us maybe cannot imagine, right? So this is the situation of the world. So to clarify you about the different terminology that what I recently introduced here, this is also called the sanitation ladder. So how the sanitation ladder has been defined, because we have the very lowest, means there is no any fixed toilet, no fixed place to go for your daily business, for your daily releasing your excreta, right? So what we call as open defecation, it's like hopping around here and there where they find appropriate place, they do their business. And the safely managed sanitation is the highest level of the sanitation practices, where people have good access to the facilities, and also their excreta and the waste are being well treated. So in this figure, as you go from top to up, the bottom to up, top level, you can see there are different levels. So you can notice like 2015, we have the improved sanitation. The terms has been changed in 2030 agenda, means SDG as the basic sanitations. And now the SDG is talking about the safely managed sanitation system. So we'll be talking about what does it mean safely managed system, and why the ladder has been changed from when we are going from MDG to the SDGs, and what are the limitations with the MDGs that we'll be talking in the next slides. So please aware about this sanitation sequence or the ladder, how it has been evolved from the open defecation to the safely managed sanitation systems. Right. So it is important to know, and it is very crucial to see how the sanitation's target has been achieved in the different our UN development goals. So we can see here the Millennium Development Goals, which was for the year of 2000 to 2015. So the goal 7 they talks about like halving of the population without the sustainable access to safe drinking water and improved sanitation by 2050. So that has target is to have the population by that time where they don't have the access to the sanitation facilities. Right. So the target supposed to reach 77%. Here, they're supposed to rate 77% of the global population should have access, make access to the sanitation facilities. But by the end, MDGs, we could only receive 68% of the population. They could have, have access to the sanitation facility. So we lagged behind, like our MDGs, it couldn't achieve their goal, so it lagged behind their target. So it's still a huge number of the population. However, we can see almost 2.1 billion people, they got, they received the basic sanitation facility during that time, but it's still a huge number of the population. They didn't have access to sanitations, or our target was not achieved properly. So here, so the important thing here, what I would like to talk about, because there was some review on our sanitation target, and which I have also explained in the ladder, like sanitation ladder, how improve, the basic sanitation, like I talk about improve has been changed into the basic, and why the safely managed sanitation has been introduced here. So in this slide, so you can see, like when we talk about 2000 to 2015, 2.1 billion of people have got access to the sanitations, but it's still a huge number of population, they didn't get access to the sanitation facility. So one of the fundamental as a researcher, this is, we can see like how those progress, like, because we have an increased number of sanitation facilities, and we also see like how the economic burden related to the health and sanitation, which is considered due to the poor health and sanitation has been changed over the time. So this figure in the left-hand side, it shows like compare between the economic burden related to the two different years, 2010 and 2015, when here the sanitation has, facilities have been increased. But if you see, the economic burden linked to the poor sanitation has also been increased. And the right-hand side, you can see how the public health, like the incidence of the waterborne diseases caused by like the here it's an example of the waterborne diseases having gone through the different year. So it shows also there are increasing number of the incidents. So these figures are from the Thailand's Ministry of Public Health results. So actually, I was also the part of this paper, and we analyzed how the different year the incidence of this waterborne disease has been increased, though there has been good access to the, like almost in the Thailand that time, almost 99% of the people have good access to the sanitation system. So this two figure reflect there is still having a good sanitation system, but still these sanitation linked waterborne diseases are still prevalent. So we analyze how the things have been focused in the MDGs. And if you look to our priorities in the earlier development goal, that we are more focusing on the access to the sanitation facility, right? So our main focuses have been confined or more oriented to making the more access to the sanitation facilities, which is about like good your place where you can defecate for the daily business, right? So, but this is not complete sanitation system, but there are still many aspects, or the sanitation chain has not yet completed. So the things is happening in the reality is that people are getting the place to do their businesses, but after that it is not well handled. So we can see this picture, like once their containment, their storage system get full, it will be disposed, or it will be drained somewhere else, which is not in a good way. So that's why, again, it is coming back to the systems, and either into water or in the food system. So the incidence of the waterborne diseases and the poor health related diseases or their associated costs were still rising. So we see the things were not that appropriate. So this gives the impression like what could be the next. So which is also linked to our SDGs, and that has been addressed, and which is the current focus on sanitation goals. So as I said, our sanitation's related waste are not properly handled. And if you remember the definition what I made earlier, that sanitations today we're talking about the safe handling and the management of the excreta and the urine stream. So we are just the MDGs and earlier focus which has been given to the facilities, which is a very entry point to achieve, but it is not at complete sanitation practices. So that we'll be talking here. So to give you some insights about the common sanitation practices or the waste treatment system, and all of us are familiar about the centralized sanitation system and the decentralized sanitation system, which is also called sewer system and non-sewer system, right? So most of the developed countries, and they are having the centralized sewer system, means all the things, all the toilets related black water and excreta, even the gray water, it will be collected in the central system. Normally, it is located in the downstream of any watershed or any urban setting, and it will be treated and safely disposed. So there is no risk with the health and maybe the environment. But this is not situation for the many developing countries, what we have already discussed, right? And the issue here is when we talk about the sustainable sanitation system, when we talk about the circular system, so the centralized system is obviously it's a good system, good choice, but it requires a lot of investment. Like you need to have a lot of initial investment, operating cost, energy requirement to do all the treatment issues. And there is also poor opportunity because in general, the centralized system, because the waste treatment system are located into in the bottom, in the downstream, all the waste are drained by the gravity to the down. So it is really difficult to come back and reuse in the system. So our focus when we talk about the sanitations and sustainable sanitations, and do you recall that most of the problems where we are now facing in developing countries, like really poor, the emerging countries. So the investment are still limited. And then we are more focusing right now is the decentralized sanitation system. And decentralized sanitation system is the world largest sanitation, the waste handling, like the domestic wastewater treatment system in the world. And it will be the proportion will be increased in the coming year. So I think this is important to be focused here. So I'll take a further discussion with the decentralized system, how it works and what are the issues, and maybe we can see how it can be considered from the resource recovery. I don't know details about our attendees or our participants. Some of you, I know, maybe wondering about how it works and what are the basic functions, how the sanitation systems work. So I just to give you the brief idea, how it works. So we talk about decentralized sanitation system means everything will be done in the semi or in the small scale nearby where the waste produces, right? So in this regard, normally every household, every community, they will have some sort of the collection, like some sort of the primary treating system, what we call on-site sanitation system. So normally or commercially we have like septic tank system, and there is also some sort of the cesspit or the cesspool system. And to describe these two systems, the septic tank system, you should think you should know about the basic function that it is a watertight and the water seal system, so there is no leakage, there is incoming and outgoing water, and it has some basic sedimentations where the excreta get deposited and the water will get out with some hydraulic retention time. So, but in the right-hand side, you can see the earthen, it is made by the cement ring or some sort of the earthen structure. It is called cesspit systems, which is In fact, technically, it's unconfined. It has an open bottom system, which is not good for the local environment or the local water or the groundwater. When we talk about the water contamination, it has direct effect to the local groundwater contamination because it allows the liquid to seep or infiltrate around the water body. So as you see in this figure, right? So these are the dominant sanitations, like on-site sanitation system, which is part of our decentralized sanitation system. So these systems are normally, as I said, it is the primary function of these systems are to receive the waste or the black water immediately from the users or from the household, and then do some primary treatments. So primary treatments, it will go some aerobic, anaerobic digestions, and that can go for partial digestion and the reduction of the sludge, as well as after some clearing of all the mixed water particles, and then the water will goes out from the system, which has to go with the secondary treatment, and but it will remove the water from the system. So after that, so what here is so after certain time, after certain use, so this system get full, so which has to be emptied or which has to be removed on a periodic basis. So what we call, as I said, it's a partially digested the sludge. So we term as a fecal sludge. So that has still not yet fully digested, and it still has some pathogen ability to cause diseases. So that has to be taken out from the system and treated offsite in a way that resource could be recovered and the things can be achieved. So this is the basic things we have to know in decentralized sanitation system. And then this shows like sanitation chain. So as you see, the safely managed sanitation system, which is one of the target for the 2030 SDGs. So what we talk here, so once the things will full, so the trucks, which you call like the dislodging trucks, it will come, and then maybe that has to be taken out from the on-site sanitation facilities to make it usable for the next use. So then it will be bring to the sanitation, I mean, some wastewater treatment or decentralized treatment plants where it will be treated. And then it will either use as a soil conditioner, as a fertilizer, what we call maybe resources that can be bring back to the agricultural field. And the water, depending on the level of the treatment, it can be either used for irrigation purpose or it can be drained safely into the river system. So this is the ideal picture, what we call the safely managed sanitation system under decentralized decentralized sanitation practices. And why we have been focusing this one, because the world where the sanitation is issued, where sanitation is existing, is many developing countries where the investment is not possible. And this is the right time because they are investing for sanitation, infrastructure, or they are practicing for the good sanitation system. So this is the way maybe we have to intervene, how the sanitation could be made in a way, in a closed loop system, so we could make the resource in closed loop, so the recovery could be possible and it can go together. So this is the ideal system, but what is happening in reality where this system is already in existence or in practicing? So we could see the trucks, until the trucks is okay, because if the system get full, the user will call to the trucks, means they need services to empty their devices, otherwise they can't use. But the trucks is not either bringing to the collected sludge in designated treatment plants, or there is not enough treatment plants, or there is no functional or sustainable treatment system, so that it is not functioning well. So most of the time, all these sludge, which I said, it is still has like potential to cause diseases, to cause water pollution, so which will bring out from it on-site sanitation devices, containment, but it will bring back, or it will be released directly into the environment. So that is not a real objective of having good sanitation system, and which is happening in most of the cases. So we have to break, or we have to amend this condition, and there is a need to go with this sanitation chain and how to maintain the closed loop system. And that is the most important issues for sanitation's practitioner or maybe planner or our researchers, because how to make this system well functioning so that it will go in a way that it's supposed to be, right? So maybe here we are from a different background. So if you think from, or if we think from our one way, because it is not only the waste, but it is also the economic perspective, it is also the business perspective. So that could make a contribution to achieve the 2030 SDG. So as I say, from sustainable sanitation here, so just to see what currently happening, even either in decentralized sanitation system or centralized sanitation system. So the resources, what we call the water resources, or we are taking the nutrient in our daily food from the agriculture, we are bringing into the household, means we are consuming all the things. And as I saw in the picture, or even in our centralized system where there is no risk for environment or outbreak of the diseases, but we are not bringing into the bringing back into the where we have been taking it out. So it means like in a one way, in a linear system, so it has resulted like continuous dropping down of our water resources system, means the groundwater is getting depleted. So that's why. And another one is as I said, it is either directly discharged into somewhere into the river or the pond, where they can feel free to dispose. So it is causing the disease, the water pollution. And if we remember, like 80% of the rivers in most of the developing world are polluted due to this kind of the domestic waste. So this is the water pollution is very severe. So as you see, the water pollution, sometimes we have the water, but water quality has been deteriorating. So it means we are not able to use. Technically, the water volume are there, but we are not able to use due to the poor quality. So not only the water quantity is issued, but also the quality is also lowering the usability of the water. So that is also linked with the poor sanitation. And of course, the yield nutrient in many world, like they are like facing the problem with the food security and the fertility, like declining or lowering the agricultural productivity is a major issue, and the soil deterioration. And especially they are relying on the inorganic fertilizer, where the soil acidification, other kind of the issues is a major issue, and the soil is not able to good healthy environment. So the productivity and ultimate loss of the soil are there. So in another way, so we can see the Nexus perspective, or the Nexus, where we can think about the recovery is very urgent. So if you think from the perspective of the sustainable sanitation system, so in a way, I think if we have a way, if we have a good system, that if we can bring back all those resources, what we have taken from the nature into their one system, like all the treated water, if we either back to the groundwater or the river in good treated condition, it can also replenish the water level, or it can be good for maintaining the environmental flow. Sometimes we can also bring back all our waste that is in organic nature, a lot of nutrient value. So if you bring back to the agriculture, so it can have good fertility. So this is the way to think about, but I think this is not very noble things, because everybody knows. But the problem here is, the important thing is it has to be in a way, in a system, because as I said, this is in a loop. So this is fundamentally okay. But how to do this one is a very crucial, because it is not a one discipline. It is not a single having a toilet system, or not having the dislodging facility like the trucks and other treatment system, because sometimes there are many cases having a treatment system, but not very limited volume of the sludge is bringing to the treatment system, because these are either located very far from the household, or these are not in the enough capacity. So these are not economically profitable for those service provider, means the truck owner, right? So as I said before, this is not only the subject of the sanitation practitioner or planner, but it is also the way to think from the business perspective, because we have to make all the sanitation system or the services in a way, in an economic way, or in a way that can make profitable, right? So this is, we need mind from the businesses, we need the mind from the management. So there is also the issues from the social acceptance, because we are talking about the resource recovered from the human waste. So there are cultural, there are social acceptance, whether to utilize those waste or not. So we need some behavior, we need some perception, we need some science from sociology. So we need a lot of other disciplines knowledge here. So of course we need fundamentally the technical knowledge, which is in the entry point, as I showed here, but we need a lot of knowledge. So here I would like to emphasize that sanitation should be looked from in a way, in a holistic, in a system approach, so that the issue could be solved. And similarly, when you talk about the different technologies, when you talk about the different practices, sanitation treatment system, but the issues coming here, I mean, from the world where it has been from sustainability, from the long-term perspective, because they have gone from the short-term planning, but in the long term, it is not being sustainable. So we have to look all those sanitations design, I mean, the treatment systems or sanitation business, or all the from the long-term perspectives and from sustainability assessment, whether it is sustainable or not, because there are plenty of the options are available currently, but it has to be looked from whole perspective. So this is here I would like to emphasize. So the next, as I said, if the time allows, so I think I have still some time, so I can go with some other aspect. So today here, as I said, like we need the knowledge and expert, field from the different discipline. But today I will be talking about this one, means the technological point of view, some technical knowledge. How this business or this the same can be make more efficient. So this is the work maybe today I am sharing with you from my direct involvement with AIT, where I work for sanitation project, and actually that was funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So because here, so the idea here, the Gates Foundation has like thinking like every life has equal value. As I said before, a huge number of people have a poor life due to poor sanitation. This is also the dignity matter. This is also the death issue. This is also the economic value. So, and also the productive activity, like they are not able to do due to the disease. So Gates Foundation has like granted big fund. It's a huge amount of the money for reinventing the toilet. So some of you may wonder like why we need to reinvent the toilet, because our toilet systems are working well and there is no issue, right? But it is not the case, because as I said, some of our currently practicing systems are not affordable and maybe not sustainable for many other cases. So alternatively, like if you look from other sectors, there are huge changes, like there are huge development in the last 50 years. But the sanitation system, what we have been practicing, maybe the septic tanks or some sort of the household system are from very ancient times. So there has not been advancement in the sanitation system for a long time enough. So with that thinking, so there is a big call for reinventing the toilet project. So our institute, like Asian Institute, we have received a grant, and then I work for this project. So and the main motivation or main intention to share with you here is how we can think or how we can do some way to solve this issue. So maybe this is one experience. This is not to be the same for everyone, but I would like to share like how we did and what is happening at this stage. So when I said like there are issues with the poor handling of the waste, and as I said, like some of our existing systems are not hygiene, are not safely, not well or not improved system, which is unimproved, and there is a resource recovery. So this is the way that we think and we practice, like what could be the next generation of the toilet, how we can think about the new innovation in the toilet. So we try to make the system, or this is the one way of thinking, like how we can reduce the sludge, because as I said, the sludge is not well treating, and these are the cause potential threat to the environment and the health. So if you reduce the sludge, then of course your load will be less, means the risk factor will be the less. So the one idea is how to reduce the sludge. This is very crucial in any sanitation innovations or maybe intervention. And here the second one is, as we said, these are also resource rich. So how this can be made reusable, like how we can make the resource recover, how we can make our system efficient to recover all the resources. And then the third one is, there are already huge number of the sanitation systems are being practiced, so which are not possible to change immediately, right? So there is a way to make things or to adjust, to retrofit with the existing system. There should be some device that can be retrofit with the existing system, so that the things, I mean, the system which is already in existence also operate in a way, in an environmental friendly way, or without causing or without less troubling to the environment. So these are the three key technologies and the three motivation that we work for innovating the new sanitation system, or especially the reinventing toilet system. And today, this is the one toilet system, what we call there, one of my colleagues, he developed as part of his PhD, like a solar septic tank system. And the idea here is, as you see in this figure, as I said, on-site sanitation system has limited like usability, like it can work for certain year, let's say 3 to 5 years, depending on user, then it has to empty, like it has to be remove the sludge and then make it space for the next use, right? So the things here is how we can reduce the sludge from the containment, the septic tank. So the concept here, he introduced like operating the septic tank system, because normally the tanks operate with your ambient temperature, whatever the environmental temperature, like maybe it fluctuates with the environment. But he used the system to make thermophilic with the range of 40-50 degrees Celsius, means he activates some sort of those high temperature loving bacteria, and that can work more efficiently. That has capacity to digest more better way, in more efficient way, so that the sludge can be reduced by half by his research finding. So the ultimate goals was to reduce the sludge accumulation, and then the period of the service period could be extended. Like for instance, the system is working for 5 years with the normal. So by this new improved sanitation system, the same unit can work for another 5 years, means it works for the 10 years. So that reduces some potential threat to the environment, even if you do for wrong practices, right? And how he did with, he used some local way or some innovative way to make the system like 40 to 50 degrees Celsius by rotating the hot water, I mean, circulating the hot water system by using solar or heating system. So the key message here, and then if you remember, like pasteurization, the treating the liquid by 40-50 degrees Celsius for maybe, I don't exactly remember the time, but like 40-50 degrees Celsius, 24 hours, maybe it can lower down the pathogen level from our effluent, means the liquid that comes out from the system, which can be safely used for some of the plants or in agriculture system. So that makes the things in a way, in a resource can be reutilized for some agriculture or some plantation, and also the sludge can be reduced. So this is the way way that we develop new sanitation system to reduce the environmental threats. And the second one, this is also the sanitation system that I was principally, I was involved from the beginning, from the conceptualizing the design and prototype and all the things. So we call as a cyclones. So the basic idea here is all the things, because in normal sanitation system, in a conventional sanitation system, because people in a daily business, they do for 200 gram, 250 gram of the excreta, but we use 300, 500 liter to flush away from the place where it defecate, right? So a huge amount of the water is being used to carry or to flush out, to transport the waste from the point of generation to the point of treatment or the collection. So if you see, all the water that we have been using for flushing is most of the time our drinking water, right? So it is really no contamination, but just we are mixing, we are increasing the volume by using this clean or the pure water, free from the pathogen, treated water to our flush the waste. So it means like we are increasing, or we are like expanding the level of pollution by bringing a huge amount of the water which is pure, which is free from pathogen into pathogenic, potentially pathogenic fecal matter. So that's it's expanding the chances to be contaminating the water. So the idea here is, if we able to separate, if we able to remove the water and the solid instantly, like after every flush, so that could be better handled rather than mixing it together. So how we can separate the solid and liquid from the mix stream. So this is the main concept here. So we develop some sort of the mechanical device to separate the solid and the liquid things. So that could be treated separately, because if you have the separated solid and the liquid, so you can have more option to treat for the solid and the liquid with, you will have rather than as a mix together, right? So this is the concept here, and the good thing is this technology is now being commercialized, and it has been used for many Southeast Asia, and recently it has been taken to the South Africa. So it has been now in the more commercial phase, and SCG is a Thai leading company, not only Thai-based, but it's a very leading company in South Asia. They have been promoting. So this is the way maybe we approach for innovation in sanitation and try to improve these systems here. And the third one, maybe I would like to share with you, as I said, one of the dominant sanitation type is cesspit or cesspool system. I have been introducing many terms, so don't be confused. So the reason is these are very simple, and the reason is it's cost effective, less cost, and also the local technician, local people can construct by themselves. There is no technical specialty or specification that you have to address, right? So this is widely being used in many developing countries. But as I said, this is not good enough to hold your water, so it can directly leak and seep into the nearby groundwater, so which is not good for the water protection, groundwater protection. So many households, they have been using this system. So there is a way to think about how we can improve the performance of this system. So in this regard, one of our approach is to design a new system that can be inserted, that can be fit into the existing system. And the colleague, he has developed a new concept, like how to make unconfined existing system to confined system by introducing new device or the new structure. So that he put the name cess-to-fit system. So this is the idea, like here. So he developed some sort of the new system with new media, because the media and some hydraulic return, these are the technical details. So, but they introduce some system which can work more efficiently. They can hold the things more watertightly. They don't allow to leak out the system and put into the existing system. And after some hydraulic retention and some time, they can be safely disposed. So these are the three three innovations that have been developed by the AIT. But besides that, if you have some interest on sanitation innovation, there are good platform good resources, and there are a couple of other technologies. So because these are the technology where I work, and I just presented here, but there are plenty of other technology, other institute, other university from around the world has developed and now been commercialized. So this field has been hugely developed. I mean, it has been giving high priority and now getting better improvement and is improving. So I think we have to further advance, but the key essential thing is how to do these things in a way, in a holistic way, that everything works in a effective way, in a sustainable way is the major issue. So to conclude my today's presentation, so let me summarize. I have talked in the many aspects. So, but the key thing is SDG 6, which remains in the central of SDG. As I said, it is a centripetal. It plays centripetal role to achieve all our 16 SDGs. All right. So, but if you look from the current statistics, and maybe due to the COVID as well, it is lacking behind. So there is more efforts, more action, more work is needed to meet the goal. So we have to accelerate the current progress, current activity to achieve the goals. And what we talk about the centralized sanitation system and the decentralized sanitation system. So no doubt, centralized sanitation system has high efficient, more, less footprints, and maybe in more efficient way. But the another side, it's a cost intensive, energy intensive, and it requires high techs. And many of the problems that currently having is in the developing countries, and these are not maybe affordable for in many cases. So this is one reason, and another reason is as we're talking about the sustainable practices, and everything should be in a circular way, everything should be being in a loop. So decentralized sanitation system is a system which favors for to close the loop, to break the linear system. So I think the more attention, more focus has to be given to the decentralized system. As a decentralized system itself it comprises many components, many steps to be completed, to be functional. So we need the knowledge, or we need the expert from different fields. And so that's why the Nexus perspectives, not only the resource Nexus, but also the Nexus in a way, in a cooperation, in a partnership, in an investment, or the business. So all the social acceptance should be addressed for planning any decentralized sanitation system, or what we call the safety management system. And as we discussing about the sanitations related waste, which are resourceful, and it contains a lot of nutrients, and it has like a huge amount of the water can be regained. So I think it should be looked from the Nexus, in the resource Nexus. So it has huge potential to gain, or to continue to close our to recover the Nexus, the nutrient or whatever the resources. So it should be looked from resource Nexus perspective, and should be brought into the closed system, and should be focused, or should be researched from that perspective. So having said, I would like to stop my or conclude my presentation here, but I'll be more happy to discuss and to answer, or to share, or to hear your experience on this field. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Saroj, for this comprehensive and detailed presentation. I learned a lot, and I have a look at the question and answer session. I think if you want to, you can maybe stop sharing your screen, and we can see you better. So the first question is from Daniel Carter. He's asking, decentralized sanitation systems that include resource recovery, e.g. nutrients or energy, are considered to be among the best available practices, both from a Nexus science and development cooperation perspective. Nevertheless, they remain an exception rather than a rule across rural regions, particularly in the global south. What do you think can be done to implement such solutions more widely? You can also see it's a comprehensive question. You can see that in the question and answer section.
Okay, so maybe I have to see one decentralized. Okay. I think, yeah, so yeah, I agree with the Daniel, because currently we have been looking from these are the case and more like functional in the global south or maybe the developing less countries. But I think, yeah, it is equally valuable for the developed countries, or it has to be expanded in a widely basis or in a widely manner. So the practical things is sometimes like we already have the systems, like centralized systems in existence. So I think it is difficult to go with the decentralized system. But this, from my opinion, like some of the countries, like for instance, in Japan or some of the depopulating countries, like where the rural areas are now, population are now decreasing, and even they have the well-functioning centralized system, but this is the time like they have to focus on their like the maintenance, or they have to think about the infrastructure repairment, right? So when they are planning, so there is a huge debate like to recover those investment costs, like how to recover those investment because there are less users for the coming year. So I think we should focus on this decentralized or the resource recovery from global perspective. So some of the things which have been already implemented, the developed countries, so maybe it's hard, but it's still the recover resource, because the things is only they are doing at the lower level, means in the downstream. So there should be the way to back to the systems or bringing into the user side, so we can still close the loop. But if we have chance to rethink about our existing system, because after certain time the things has to be recovered or to repair and maintain. So I think this is also the time or the right time to think from that perspective. So this could be also the one way to maybe expand how the decentralized can be incorporated widely. But obviously, as I said, decentralized is going to be the prominent, most dominant system, wastewater treatment system. So there is a huge ample room to be addressed for the global south at this moment. But of course, the developed countries, yeah, they can also get way, or they can also think from that way. I think this could be the one way.
Great, thank you, Saroj, and also thank you from Daniel for the answer and your very informative presentation. Then we have another question from Camille Gomez, and the question is, what is the root cause of not going for proper steps to reduce the infectious disease from improper sanitation? And so there's a sub-questions. Can we blame the awareness of citizens of a country for safe sanitation? Or is it a sort of negligence and willingness of government initiatives to establish a sustainable sanitation infrastructure? What could be the potential solution?
Okay, it's quite long, so I'm looking for Kamal. Yeah, so Kamal, yeah, I think sanitations, as I said, like what is the root cause, right? So as I said, like there are significant, like tremendous number of sanitation infrastructure has been built in MDGs and SDGs, right? So as I said, this is the first entry point. So this is a good way to start, but these are not complete sanitation. So as I have shown, like some of my picture, even they are using the improved the infrastructure, but the sanitation chain is not completed. It is coming back to the environment in another way. So the one is like we are not still able to complete or to safely manage sanitation system. So as I showed, like the fecal sludge has not been taken to the proper treatment plant, is not properly handled. So they are going back to the water, or our on-site sanitation systems are water leaking, or they are directly contaminating the local groundwater. So these are some I mean, the technical as well as the whole sanitation chain is not fully functioning. The second one is the behavior, like the behavior chain, because there are a lot of example and instant, like people are having the toilets, but they are not properly utilizing it. They are using for another purpose, right? So they are still practicing the way how they used to do from the beginning. So there is also need to change the behavior, like what we call, we develop like MDG focus on the hardware part. We just talk about the fact especially, but software means the way how they utilize the hygiene, the hand washing is also addressed in the SDG 6, because these are the things they have to go together to achieve the real goal or the real target or ultimate goal of the sanitation. So I would say, yeah, these are the root cause. So we have to go all the hardware part, of course, but the software part and the things should be in a closed system, should be, every aspect should be there, rules, regulations, everything should be in a way that it can go make the system more functional. So yeah, this is the more holistic and more Nexus approach, I guess.
Thank you, Saroj. And then actually the next question is connected to what you just said, and that's about more innovation in regulation and law in sanitation, which could encourage that behavior. If you could maybe speak about that. And Chapagain is asking that and is saying, I've heard lots of innovation in technologies, but I'd like to know if regulation is a better method for developing countries to improve the situation.
I think, yeah, that's what we have discussed right now. So of course, yeah, the technology is the one component, one part of the sanitation's loop. So of course, the governing, like the governance, the regulations is always crucial. Like the policies, plannings are always guidings, right? So obviously, it has to be in a way that it's supposed to be favorable to implement all those technologies, because having the technology, having the innovation doesn't mean unless and until they have been well guided by the local policies or local government. So I fully agree, and there is a need, and maybe due to the time and maybe today's presentation will focus on technologies, but I think the equal focus or more focus is right now having given to the inclusive sanitations and like taking all those rules, I mean the government policies, regulation, all the things in a package. So the sanitation should be looked in a comprehensive, in a well package. So obviously the governance has a very crucial role. Yeah. I think, yeah, it should be discussed, and it should be the main agenda for the sanitation's improvements.
And now, knowing that your main focus, of course, is the technologies part, do you have any examples from local regulation where you experienced it worked well, or where you said, oh, that would be something you could point to as a best practice?
Actually, I don't remember exact, but what I can say is now the global focus, because as I said before, as the issue is more in developing countries or global south. So the first, we are more focusing on the access or the physical facilities, but we realize this is not, I mean, the ultimate solution. So, but still the incidents or the disease, I mean, the negative impact of the poor sanitation is there. So now 2030 SDGs, they have been focusing on the governance, or because there are a lot of, even from Nepal, I know we have been focusing on how to make our local governing system enable to make the complete sanitation system, I mean the complete sanitation plan. So the focuses are right now have been given to make the complete sanitation plans. So I think there are many countries, there are several countries they are adopting, or this is a global, I mean, they have already realized the issue. This is not anymore new. So I think this is now the next they have been focusing on, or they are in making the environment, enabling environment to make the sanitations, and they are looking from in a local government plans. Yeah.
Thank you very much for answering my follow-up question. We have another question for you. First of all, thank you for the interesting presentation. And then decentralized sanitation can be efficient solution at rural areas, but do you think that the treatment applied can meet the water quality standard for reuse? And what do you think about natural-based solutions for treatment?
Thank you, Dr. Kefi. I think it is also the compromise because the decentralized sanitation systems, as I said, it's not that high level of the treatment capacity, but nevertheless there is not necessarily like all decentralized sanitation system has limited, because there are many advancements or there are many technologies have been coupled with the existing sanitation system. So I would say, of course, decentralized sanitation system has not fully able to treat the effluent or the liquid that release out from the system, which need a secondary, another tertiary treatment before using. But there are certain use where we don't need very high quality of the water, high level of the treatment. So depending on like the guideline that local government or the local countries provide, so we can match where it can be best utilized. But if it requires really the high level of treatment to reuse, so obviously we need some another level, like tertiary level of the treatment to achieve certain standard. But in general, the existing wastewater like septic tank or other system, they have poor treatment capacity, so they need additional treatment to make it directly usable for many purposes. But so that is one thing. And what do you think about nature-based solution? So I think it is also a good option to couple with the nature-based. So what we call is the water, because the effluent that comes out from the sanitation system can be treated. Nature-based could be the wetland system. Other system can be the good option to handle with the waste or the wastewater, the treated effluent that comes out from the system. I prefer to connect with the wetland system if you have ample, the land available, and because they are plant-based, so it has the ability to deal with the emerging pollutant. They have some special ability to deal with those kind of things. So that could be the nice combinations.
All right. Thank you very much, Saroj. Thank you for answering all of the questions, and thank you for the detailed and great presentation today. I would also like to thank all of the participants of today's Nexus seminar, and invite you for the next session, which is on December 12th, and we're focusing on sustaining biomass management practices through the Resource Nexus next time. So thank you very much, Saroj, and then hopefully we can invite you and all of the others to our next session. And with this,
thank you very much. Thank you very much all for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and then bye to everyone.